morning, Reptilians. Welcome back to my channel. So as you guys know, about a year ago now, maybe it's been that long, I got a little baby leopard gecko off of Craigslist that wasn't being kept in the best conditions, and he is doing great. So this week we decided to redo his whole tank, and it was all done by this guy.
So because of how active he is, we decided to build him a brand new hide, one that he can climb up on and maneuver around on the inside with a little tunnel system. So I've been experimenting around with styrofoam with our previous hides and decided to just really build a massive one that will take up most of the background of a 20-gallon long. And I was really happy with the results.
This video is sponsored by Geckos, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out how you can get a free feeding ledge with the purchase of a conversion kit on iHeartGeckos.com.
Let's get started.
So first thing here was his drawing on how he wanted everything to come out in the end. It didn't come out exactly like the drawing, but I still think it came out amazing. The only thing he didn't really do was that side piece, but here he is just measuring everything out. Like he said, he wanted it to cover the majority of the back of the tank, and so here he's just measuring to make sure that it was going to be long enough. There are chunks already taken out of this because this is the same styrofoam that we use for every single hide that we make, so these are just kind of scrap pieces that we had laying around. But yeah, he's just measuring and cutting with the foam cutter that is still absolutely amazing. Still love that thing. It makes all of these projects so much easier and faster. I would highly suggest though that you either do this outside or do it near multiple open windows, or he is doing this near our side door, which is like right there, because the fumes of burning styrofoam are very strong, so just keep that in mind. But these foam cutters are amazing and they make everything a lot less messier as well. And from there it's just a matter of cutting out all the pieces to get it to be the shape that he wanted it to be. And if you notice all the markings and stuff on it, most of those are just letting him know what goes where or where doors are going to go, so that way he knows not to glue in those spots. And to glue all this together, he's just using hot glue. He didn't have to use anything super heavy duty like silicone because we are going to grout this entire thing, which is going to hold everything in place perfectly. Here you can see that he had to patch up an area that he wasn't happy with the shape. Again, if you have to do something like this, it is super okay because the grout is going to cover all of that, so any patchwork you have to do is going to be absolutely fine. And he did number all of those because he glued these in sections, and the reasoning behind that is because, like he said at the beginning of this video, he wanted to have multiple hides in this giant hide, and to do that you can't really hollow out styrofoam once it's all glued together. You can, but it's a lot more work, so it was easier just to know where those doors were going to go and cut them out as he came to them, as opposed to having to try to hollow it out later, and it worked out nicely. I get a lot of questions about us doing hides this way, and every one we've ever built so far is still in wonderful condition and it has still held up to everything, so this just kind of seems to be the best way to do it that we've found so far. At this point, everything is now glued together, and he decided he wanted to do a tunnel in the back of this hide so that Winter could actually go from his hot hide up to a cool hide, or vice versa, without ever having to be seen. Again, he is a rescue, so he is still a bit skittish sometimes, and so now he can move around and climb, which he loves to do, without having to worry about us scaring him. And this is actually my favorite feature of this entire hide because I just think that it is so cool and it came out so cool. And this is step 1 completed. This is what we have so far. It is a total of 3 hides, a hidden tunnel, and multiple climbing layers. Step 2 begins the very messy and very tedious and days-long process of grouting this entire thing. This is the same pre-mixed grout we always use, but this time he's using the color linen. And this is just getting every crevice covered in grout and waiting for it to dry so that you could do another side and so that you could do another layer, and basically just doing that over and over again. At one point he realized he didn't like the rough texture of the grout and just started using his hands to smooth everything out. And this gave it a texture that none of the previous hides ever had, and it turned out really nice. But it is also super messy, so that is why our crafting moving blanket is under this the entire time. But yeah, this is just going to be a very long process. Luckily we had some good weather days here, so the drying time was cut down by quite a lot and he could move on to painting. He did add in that hidden tunnel with the grout some almost stairs so that Winter could have a little more grip when he was going up and down that tunnel, just in case he needed it. So here he's using some dark yellow and orange non-toxic craft paint, and he wanted it to have a sedimentary rock look to it with the stripes in it, and this actually isn't how the hide turned out, because after painting all this he decided that these lines were too dark, and so he did a couple of things to try to fix it. The first thing was just to go over it with some white, but he didn't like how that looked either, and he ended up actually going back over it with more grout, and the paint actually mixed in with the grout and it gave it a very smooth rock-like look and texture to it, and it actually ended up being exactly what he wanted. The last step before actually setting up the tank is sealing it. We are using shellac here, which is what we always use for the hides because it is completely non-toxic once it has dried and aired out, and it is water resistant, so you can clean these without worrying about messing up your paint. And this shellac comes in a easy spray on type of thing, and just making sure it covers all of the hide, and that's it. And for the background, I found this ultra high definition picture that I thought matched really nicely, and I did it the same way that I always do my backgrounds. I just went to walmart.com, and in the photo section there is an option for this tank, since it's a smaller tank, for a 30 by 20 poster, and you just want to select the matte poster and you can upload any picture you want. Just make sure that it is a super high definition picture, and you have a background for about $15, and you only have to trim a little bit off for it to fit in that 20-gallon long. So if you guys remember, his last background I made out of styrofoam, and it was siliconed in because I planned on having future backgrounds on the inside of the tank as well, but we did decide to go ahead and put it on the outside of the tank this time. So he just used a hair dryer and a razor blade to get all that silicone off, and then he is using a reptile disinfectant to thoroughly clean that tank out. We are just using the ceramic tile that was already in his tank. They are just leftover tile from a bathroom remodel, so they're just normal ceramic tiles that you would use in a bathroom or whatever. And then just kind of putting everything in to see how it's going to look. The giant piece of wood and the wet hide had not been cleaned yet at this point. He was just trying to see how everything was going to be arranged in there and to get the background up. The wet hide is the same one that was already in his tank and the same one that I use in Percy's tank that came from Amazon, and this giant piece of driftwood actually came from a Repticon that we went to a long time ago, but it's super cool and we haven't actually got to use it as much as we would like. Again, the background is not going on the inside this time. We are just using normal tape and taping it to the outside after cutting it to fit. I'm also using some leftover black poster board that we had lying around just to black out the sides of the tank to make him feel more secure. And this is the finished product. This is how all of it came out. Of course, when we actually went to put him in there, he was shedding. So initially, he spent all of his time at the very tip top of this hide, rubbing against the mesh screen, trying to get that shed off. But we are super happy with how all of it came out, and he seems to be happy too. And yeah, I absolutely love this. And that is it. I am super happy with how that came out. He did an amazing job on that hide, and Winter seems to be loving it, so that is wonderful. Like I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by Geckos. Geckos is an awesome little company that makes conversion kits for your arboreal reptiles. Conversion kits are these super cool acrylic things that turn any old fish tank that you might happen to have into a vertical aquarium for your animal. You just silicone this in with aquarium safe silicone and you have a vertical tank for your arboreal creature. Make sure to add a feeding ledge to your cart when you purchase a conversion kit and use my code ELLESREPTILES to get this thing for free, which is super awesome if you are just now getting set up for your new crested gecko or whatever it may be. Thank you so much to Geckos for sponsoring this video. And as always, if you're not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday. This week's Instagram shout out goes out to Mary and crew for following me on Instagram and going through and liking a whole bunch of stuff. Thank you so much, Mary.
You are the bee's knees.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.
Bye.
Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome back to my channels.
What's wrong? Why'd you freeze?
Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome back to my channel.
This is where I talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this week.
Okay. So this week.
So this week we decided to give him a whole tank makeover. Now you can